Good morning, everyone. We are now live in Autodesk Community Philippines Facebook page, CAD Community Asia, and ACP's YouTube channel for Autodesk Fusion 360 Introductory Workshop. So I am inviting everyone to invite your friends, your classmates, your uh, colleagues, your educator, to join this session. So I would like to thank all who tag their friends. Okay, and I am inviting you to join Autodesk Community Philippines in Meetup. Okay, so we are now 1,393 members. Okay, and also CAD Community Asia in Facebook, and um we are also in LinkedIn. Okay, CAD Community Asia. And Fusion 360 worldwide users in LinkedIn. To those who haven't joined, please do join us. And of course, our parent group, Autodesk Community Philippines in Facebook. Okay, and we also have Autodesk Fusion 360 User Group Philippines in Facebook as well. Okay, so I'll be adding our trainer. No, before we start, I would like everyone to please do register. No, for you to receive a certificate of participation. So I am inviting you to click this link, this Google form, and please do input all your details. And if you have questions along the way, questions are encouraged. Just please do type it in our comment section. Okay, I'll be adding our instructor, Mr. Cheng Su. Good morning, Cheng.
Hello, morning everyone. Hi.
And hello. Let's get this going. Can you share your screen?
Okay, so today's sessions will be conducted fully in English. So I apologize me that I couldn't understand Philippine language. So in case if you guys have any questions, do pop in the comments box. I will be able to see what you guys are actually asking. So before we actually get started, let me just do a quick introductions to me myself. So my name is Cheng. So today we will be sharing with you guys on Fusion 360. Have you guys installed Fusion 360 yet? Okay, so if you have not, well, it's all right. I will be going through with you guys on how to get the license up. And today's our workshop will be covering on the introductions on the Fusion 360 setup, followed by a 2D sketch platforms, which I believe some of you probably you use AutoCAD previously. So we are also moving on from, of course, you also understand that AutoCAD you can do 3Ds. But what are the difference between 2D platform versus a 3D platform? In the later while, you'll be able to take a look. So after the 2D sketch platforms, we will move into a 3D modeling features, 3D modeling space, followed by closing out with we'll do a visual impression rendering and also to prepare you guys for engineering documentations. Okay, so without further ado, let me just do a sharing with you quickly on if you guys are on education license. Okay, if this is today you are doing Fusion 360 for your institution, for the school, or probably you want. What I'm saying is a government school. Okay, so if this is you are students or if you are educators, you can come to autodesk.com/educations to obtain a license free for usage of a year. So how to assess what you need to do is you just go into autodesk.com/educations. You will be able to see the free software icons on the top left hand side. You will be able to download most of the Autodesk product free for education usage purpose. Okay, so where you get the products, you see the highlighted in the red box over here. So that is where you can go and access for the free software. So you go to the get products, and this will bring you to the page whereby you can access Fusion 360 free. Okay, so you can select the get it now individual license for the respective students or educators. So you can get the license free for use. And what you need to do, if they say you do not have a Autodesk account previously, you can create an account for yourself. Okay, so if you do have the account, then you can probably just I have an account and you sign in, and in order to get access of the Fusion 360. So for a first time user, you need to go through the verification registrations. Okay, you just have to fill in your country, your educational role, your institution type, and followed by the date of birth. Okay, so without further ado, let me just do a quick sharing with you on Fusion 360. Fusion 360 is a cloud-based product. It is a cloud-based product which you can install on the Windows platform, or even onto a Macintosh platform. Yes, so software it allows you to install on Macintosh. You can do a 3D model in Macintosh laptop or the workstation. You also can use your mobile devices, like for example, your mobile phone, on your iPad or tablets on the go. You want to review your documents, you want to review your engineering drawings or 3D model, you can have the access. Because the Fusion 360 is a product that is built on the cloud, which is a cloud-based product. It's not just installed on the onto the device itself. So you can do the installations on the tablets, on the mobile device, or on the Windows or Macintosh platforms. So what you can do is you just go to Google Play Store or go to iPhone App Store. You just type Fusion 360. You will be able to get the access and download. And they are all using the same login ID and the password in order for you to get the full access of the software. Okay, so without further ado, let me just do a quick share with you guys on if this is today you are using Fusion 360 on school machines, or if this is you are going to the library, you are not using your personal device. So my suggestions to all the users is to sign out. Remember to sign out on your account after you use the license. It's just like your email. When you go to a public machines and you sign into your email account, you need to sign out. Okay, if not, the next users will be able to see or your contents and the data. So do remember to sign out after you have done. But if this is your personal device, then you need not to worry. You just leave it as it is, and you can use it in the next time. Okay, let me do an overview on the sharing of what Fusion 360 can be done. Okay, Fusion 360 allows you to do freeform modeling and the sculpting. Okay, and of course, 2D drawing, engineering drawings to a 3D solid modeling. You also can create a parametric engineer modeling drawings. Okay, so there are parts of the libraries and the contents which you can have access and get to use. In the intermediate portions, which you can use the software for you to do simulation tests, like for example, you want to create a static stress studies or to analyze on the structure integrity. You can use the software to do so. Okay, you can do a combinations of assembly model. You can put parts all together. You can create a joint and motion studies. Of course, the rendering and animations for you to do a visualization to create an impression to satisfy the customer needs, and also to create assemblies like, for example, how this model it can be assembled or is it being installed. You can create animation videos guideline. So in the advanced portions, which you will bring you to 3D, whereby you can do CNC, we can do CNC engineering drawings. We can do for you to do a 2-axis or 2.5-axis milling, or even up to a 3D print. Yeah, I believe that you guys are quite familiar with 3D print. If not, don't worry, we can do the sharing in the next round, and of course to prepare it for the engineering drawings. So besides that, you also can use Fusion 360 to do a collaboration between users. So like for example, if this is today I want to share my projects with like for example Joseph, I see Joseph's name. So if this I want to share with my project with Joseph, probably what I need to do is I can invite Joseph into my projects team, and Joseph and I will be able to work on the same project. Instead of I transfer the file over or I email, I zip the file over and send it broadcast to someone else. So which we can work simultaneously at the same time. Okay, so we'll be sharing very briefly with you guys on what does it. Okay, so this is just one of the example from Japan, which they work on the engineering projects of we are building projects to a real life product. Okay, we don't just limit ourselves in the 2D screen. We want to fabricate it out. So this is the project team. It comes with it's designed by three people, three staff, and one is the industrial and designer, and software engineer, and mechanical and designers. So they are working on this project. So for those of you who just come in, let me just do a recap on what we'll be sharing with you guys on today. Today we'll be talk about the introduction Fusion 360 setup, followed by 2D sketch platforms. We will move on to the 3D modeling features. Lastly, we will talk about the outputs on the visual impression rendering and engineering documentations. Okay, before we actually get started, let me just do a share screen with you on this. Before we start, is the interface. So what are the interface? So you will see when you log into Fusion 360, if you guys are also on the Fusion 360, you can you can launch the app and we can go through this together with you guys. Okay, so what we are going to go through with you is the main user interface on what you are actually seeing. On the top left-hand icon, which is the indicate number 1, this is the application bar. This is for you to do a data sharing. You can have a file open, you can save, you can export or import in the file. And of course, this allows you to do or undo, redo the steps if you already made some mistake or you want to rewind. Followed by below, you will see the menu icons, you will see the sketch icons, create icons, modify tab. So these are the toolbar. So instead of finding the tools around the interface, what you most of the time, we will just focus on the toolbars where you will be able to see the functions. So on the top right hand icons, which you will be actually seeing your personal profile, and you can, this is and the help. This allows you to see on your individual license, you can do a management of your license. And if they say you have some software issues, you want to ask people, you can click onto the help icons to ask the Autodesk community members. And also this is the icon for you to sign out. So if this is today you are in the public space, you want to sign out your software, so you just go to the top right hand corners to do the sign out. Okay, next, we just move on to the slightly right hand side below. So you will be able to see this view cube. This view cube allows you to do a navigation. Sometimes you want to rotate your model. So this view cube allows you to, based on the front view, based on the side view, or based on the top view, to look at the model itself. So you can use the view cube to help you navigate the interface. Followed by the browser. The browser is on the left-hand side of your screens. You will be actually seeing your project's title, your document settings, and you probably will see there are some of the origins, a sketch tab, construction tab, and your parts tab. So all your information will be contained. So you need not to worry where to look for items. the marking menu, which is your right click. When you perform your right click, most of the time we like shortcuts, right? So instead of finding on the icons, instead of finding the function, most of the time what we will do is we just simply right click, and you will be actually receive the relate function. Like for example, if this is today I want to create a sketch, or if this is I want to modify a 3D model. So instead of come to the toolbar to find for the function, instead of come to the toolbar to find for the function, what I can do is I can simply just right click straight away, and you will be able to actually see the related functions will appear. Okay, number 7, which is the timeline. The timeline is right at below of your interface. It's right at below of your interface. These are your step history. So like for example, if this wants to know how this pen knife is being created, I can go to the timeline and play, and you will be actually showing to you how this model is being done up from step number 1 to step number n at the end. Okay, number 8 is the navigation bar and the display settings, which you were seeing a bit above the timeline. So this allows you to do rotations. This allows you to do the pan view, move on your canvas. You also can do a zoom in, zoom out, or you can probably want to change the display grid settings. So this is the navigation bar, and the display settings allows you to do the changes. Okay, so the next icon, what you are actually seeing is the data panel interface. So on the top left-hand side of your screen, you will see this 9-grid box. So do you see this 9-grid box on the top left-hand icons here, which I'm pointing it at? So this is the data panel. So once I click onto this 9-grid box, I will be actually seeing a data panel. So in the data panels, you will be actually seeing the project's title. I also can invite people. So like for example, if this is, I want to invite Ryan into my project. So what I need to do, I just go to the people and I type in Ryan's email, and Ryan's will be actually get the access of my project team as well. Okay, so this is just some of the shortcut key that you can navigate throughout. So if they say you are using the mouse, you can look at the mouse shortcut. Okay, so you can do a print screen for your future use. So for those of you who are using a trackpad, you also can use your trackpad to control, not necessary to use a mouse. But of course, if you are a first-time user, of my suggestions to the first-time user, you still stick on with the mouse. It's much more easy for you to do the modeling. And these are some of the useful shortcut key. You can do a print screen in the later while. So these are some of the shortcut key which is commonly used. Like for example, if they say wants to do a copy, you want to do the paste, or to do a cut. So there are Windows shortcuts on the second column, and we also have the Macintosh shortcut on the third column. Okay. So before we actually start on today's session, so this is a model. This is a model of a sphere. Based on this shape, what do you think we can convert this sphere into? Like for example, if this is today we are building a sphere, it's a round ball, right? So what can we do to a round ball? Well, of course, you probably think it's just a ball. We can't do anything to it. But the answer is yes, we can make changes to the ball. So we can select onto the spacers, and we can extract it, and we can change the shape. You know, it's like a digital clay. I believe that you guys played the clay before when you were young. So what can we do to the clay? We can, based on the digital clay, to transform into something else. Like for example, make a guess what we are actually building on. Based on this icon, based on the screenshot that you are actually seeing, so you can do a combination of a clay with a traditional cutting. Like for example, I want to do a cutting. So based on this shape, what we are actually making. So we are actually making a flying drone. So what is so fantastic about the software is because of these parts whereby, like for example, I am building a propeller, but if they say I want to create a fan blade, so you can see the software is very simple and easy for you to do the twisting. So you can twist the components and make it into a 3D model. So after you have created the fan blades, you can actually apply the material color texture before you actually send it off for rendering. So just with a simple 20 to 30 over steps, you can complete this model. Okay, so we comes to the interface. What we are actually going to build today is we are going to build a mobile phone stand. We are going to build this mobile phone stand, and this is some of the images that you can find from internet. So what I would like want to do is probably I want to have the mobile phone stand that has the holding feature at a specific angle. So I also want to define a criteria conditions that I want to have the charging dock. I want to have a charging dock for my cable, and I want to have resting positions. I want to have resting positions. So what we are going to do is we are going to use the software to share with you guys. So let me just transfer the interface over. Okay, so you guys are on the Fusion 360 app right now. So let's do this together. Let me just move this aside. Okay, so this is the interface that you are actually seeing, which we did the sharing with you on the what are the functions and where do you find items. Okay, so without further ado, let's create a very simple 2D documentation. So probably you were wondering, oh my God, Cheng, how am I going to create a first model? I don't even know where to start. Okay, so you need not to worry. The software is being integrated as a very simple and easy for the learners to pick up. So what you need to do is when you fire up a software, you will actually see the toolbar. So everything what we are going to do is we are going to design from the left-hand side to the right-hand side. So we are going to always start with the left-hand side all the way to the right-hand side. So for the first item, what you are actually seeing, I have a create sketch icons. So for the first time user, if they say you are not so sure what is that function for, like for example, what is this blue extrude function for? You just wait for a while, you will have a short descriptions and the image to guide you along the way. Like for example, the extrude functions is add depth to a close-up sketch profile or planar face. So you can just simply move over to that particular icons if they say you have no idea what that functions for. So you just wait for a while, you will be actually seeing the descriptions. Okay, so we are going to move on to the first part of the sessions, which is to create a 2D sketch. So once I click onto the 2D sketch, you will be actually seeing there are 3 different orange planes will appear. So these are representing XY plane, XZ plane, and YZ plane. So you probably want to ask, so which plane am I actually talking about? So you can refer to the view cube. Remember on the view cube on the top right hand icon, which we did share with you, there are X, Y, and Z coordinations. So if this I just rotate it a little bit, you will actually seeing that the 3 coordinations are representing the grid line on the blue, green, and the red. So like for example, if they say today I want to start the sketch on the XY plane, I want to start on the XY plane. So I can just simply mouse over to the corresponding plane and I am going to start it over here. So I'm going to start on the XY plane. Okay, so once I already on the XY plane, what do I need to do? Because I am going to build the side profile, right? I'm going to build the side profile on the mobile phone stand. So let me just do a sharing with you on how can you control these 2D functions. So in the 2D functions, I'm not going to go through every single function to you guys because there are some of the functions which is like a very simple, like what is the rectangle, what is the circle for, what is the arc for, or probably you want to have a spline, like a curved line. So for the simple start for any of the users, what you can do is you can set, like for example, if this is today I want to create a base. So I probably start from the rectangle. You are actually seeing these corresponding grids. Okay, please kindly do not go and count L5, 10, 15, 20, 25. Not necessary to, please do not count the grids. So these grids are mostly for your reference, to allows you to understand that you are in the sketch mode. So what do we actually need to do? Like for example, it will ask me to place the first corner. So I've always, my base practice, I always start from the center of origin. I start from the center of the origins, I create out. So when I move out, do you notice that I do have the number box that is following? Like for example, if this is today, I want to have the base length is 100 by 115. So what do I need to do? I can straight away input in the value of 100. Do you notice that my grid box actually turned into 100? In order for me to switch over to the length, what do I need to do? I press the tab key on the keyboard. And you will see that 100 is now been locked, and now I am at 95. So I'm going to change this to 150, 150. When I hit enter, it will automatically draw out the rectangular box that is 100 by 150. So just in case if they say you want to modify the value, what you need to do is you can just simply go to the number itself and double click it, and you can change to a new value. You will perform a new design. Okay, so let me just do a quick sharing with you guys for a traditional CAD users, what they probably do. In a traditional CAD users, what they will do is that they will start to use the line functions, and they draw out the line. They draw one vertical line, they draw the second vertical line, and draw the third vertical line, and fourth vertical line. So I have 4 vertical lines and I need to input in the dimensions. So I go to the sketch dimension function. Do you notice that it's a bracket D? I also can use the shortcut key on the keyboard. So I can just simply press the D on the keyboard and select the vertical geometry. And I say this is to be 100, and select the second geometry. This is to be 150. So this is a traditional way. It probably takes you about 4 to 5 steps versus 1 to 2 steps of the new items. Okay, so one thing to take note over here, I would like to share with you on the screen. Right now, do you actually see without the dimension, I have the 2 black vertical line and I have the two lines which are indicated in the blue. That means they are constrained, which means it is free to move. When I select onto the blue line, this is free to move. But when I select onto the black line, black geometry is not able to move. So what you need to do is you have to control the geometry. You have to control the geometry to do the locking of the distance. Like for example, this is to be 100. So once I input it 100, do you see the top horizontal geometry? This will become a black line. So same thing when I click in the second geometry, and right now both lines are fixed and I have the 4 sides of the black line. So I can't move, I couldn't stretch weight anymore. It is being grounded as well. So you can use, like for example, circle. You can draw circles. You can create mirrors, and you can create the dimensions. And to do a little bit advanced, you can do a fillet to make the corner round. Or you can, if this you have access line, you can trim it off. Or even you can do the offset. In the later while, we will share with you what is the offset functions. And most of the time, you will be actually seeing in the screen, I have some icons automatically appear. Like for example, I have this T sign. I have this stroke sign at the side. So what are all this? So these are the constraints. These are the constraints will be automatically added in for you. Like for example, if this is today, I want to have a two geometry line. I want to have two geometry line that is to create it as a parallel. So right now you see these two lines that are not parallel. If they say I want to make it parallel, what do I need to do? I just go to the constraints and look for the parallel functions. I look for the parallel function. I'm going to say the first geometry is going to parallel to the second geometry. So you'll be actually seeing the constraint sign will be automatically added in to tell you this is the constraint. So over here, you will be actually notice that this is a perpendicular sign. The perpendicular sign is being added in as a perpendicular sign. And what is this? This is a vertical constraint and the horizontal constraints. Okay, so there are some of the constraints which you can apply, and sometimes you want to do inspections, and we will share with you the inspection with you in the 3D interface. So if they say once we are done with the 2D, so remember we say the interface, we always start from the left-hand side all the way to the right-hand side. So if they say I'm done with the 2D in the 2D sketch, I'm going to move on to the 3D. So I'm going to select the finish sketch. When I select the finish sketch, you will be actually seeing the 3D functions will appear. You will be actually seeing the 3D functions will appear. So same thing. So we are going to start from the left-hand side all the way to the right-hand side. Okay, so we already done the 2D sketch. We are going to move on to the extrude function. So I'm going to select onto the extrude functions. You will be actually seeing the interface. I will have this blue arrow head. So, and also I will have this dialog box. So you can either work into the dialog box or you can straight away pull the blue arrow head. Like for example, I want the base to be 5 mm thickness. So you can just simply pull the blue arrow. So you will be actually seeing the value actually following together. So what is this? You may ask, what is this a semi-circle thing, semi-crescent thing on the top? This allows you to do the taper angle if this is today you are building a project on a pyramid, for example. So you can do a taper angle. You can do a taper angle. You can control the angle. So for this case, I need not to control the angle. I am just leave it as it is. And I am going to say the thickness is to be 5 mm. And I just simply say 5 mm. Done. So if let's say you want to modify, you want to do a modifications on your sketch, or you want to modify the feature, you can look at the timeline. Remember, we do a sharing review at the very beginning of this workshop. If they say you want to modify the sketch, you just simply go to the timeline and you right click, and you can see this edit sketch functions will appear. So when you see the edit sketch functions, this allows you to do the modification. Like for example, I'm going to change this to 70. I'm going to show you a very bigger change. So once I change this to 70 mm, you will notice that the 3D model will be automatically change the shape as well. So if they say I want to change the height of the extrude, I just simply go to the second icon's extrude. And I simply right click and say edit feature. I can change the height to 20, for example. So instead of undo, redo, you can straight away modify in the timeline. Okay, so like for example, if let's say today you want to create a hole, so if they say today I want to create a hole, so it's like a drilling machine. I'm going to tell the drilling machines I want to drill a hole at the center. So I'm going to select onto the surface here, and I can just simply move the hole to the corresponding point. So do you notice that in the center, I will have this white dot in the center. So I can simply move it over to the center and I can control the hole by the size, by the depth, by the drill bit angle, or the drill points to be flat if they say if there's the need. So this allows you to add on the features. So I just do a quick move to the next one, which I do a simple fillet. Fillet is to make the corner round. So like for example, if they say I want to make the four sharp edges round, so I can just simply select onto the four edges. So I can just simply select onto the four edges. 1, 2, 3, 4. You can straight away pull the blue arrow in, or I also can indicate the radius of the fillet to be 5 mm. Okay, so you can create the features. So you will notice that once that you have done, I want to create a hollow effect. I want to create a hollow effect. Probably I'm going to use the shaw function. The shaw function is to remove the inside part material. So I'm going to create a hollow effect of this item. So I'm going to say the thickness is to be 3 mm, 3 mm more. So I can do a very fast creation of a 3D model. Okay, so the reasons why I'm showing you here is I just want to share with you guys on some of the features. So this is the timeline which you are actually seeing. In order for me to see how this model is being built up, I can play back the timeline to share with the people that how this model is being built up. From the step number 1, I create a sketch. Step number 2, I create an extrude model. Step number 3, I did the hole cutting. Step number 4, I did a fillet. And step number 5, I did a shell functions. So in order for you to do the modifications, like for example, you want to change the diameter of the hole, so you can just simply go to the edit feature and change like for example, this is the diameter. I'm going to change this to 20, and what happened? You will notice that the functions automatically will change all the way that is corresponding to it. Okay, so these are some of the quick shortcut keys that you guys are. If they say today you are our first time users, how do you do the control? You need not to worry. You can always start from the left hand side all the way to the right hand side. So we won't go through all the individual icons with you guys. There are some which is advanced. Okay, but for the basic, most of the time you will be probably using the create and modify tab. Like for example, if they say today you want to do an inspection, you want to do the inspection on the length, so you can do an inspection. Like for example, I want to know what is the distance from the external surface here towards to the opposite surface here. So I can simply use the inspect functions to do the indication. It will tell me that the distance over here is to be 100 mm. Sometimes you also want to do a calculations on the area. If let's say I want to inspect the inside surface area, so I can just simply select on the inside surface area. You will tell you the area and the loop length. So you can do the inspection as a required if you need to. Okay, so without further ado, we are going to move on to today's project. Today's project, what we are going to ask you to create is to create this mobile phone stand. And how can we build a mobile phone stand together with the mobile phone and to do some contextual material color texture being added in. Okay, so this is what we are going to build at the end of the day. This is what you will be achieved. So what we are going to do is based on this, what we actually want. We want to create a mobile phone stand, right? We want to create this black color mobile phone stand. So in order for us to do this, we will start from the side profile. We'll probably start from the side profile. So I'm going to create a sketch at the XZ plane. Because this is the side profile, I am going to start at the XZ planes. Okay, so right now I am building at the side profile. I am starting from using the line function. Using the line function, I will start from the center of origin. I will start from the center of origins. I move out the horizontal geometry that is indicate 80, 80. Okay, so followed by an arc. So followed by an arc. So I am using the arc and using 3-point arc. Starting point, which is the ending point here, and I estimation move out the point to somewhere around 150 estimation, because we can define the dimension in the later while. Second point and third point, which is the arc length, I can determine the arc length in the later while. Next, I need to create the mobile phone resting position. I am building at the resting positions. So the resting positions here, it's the length is 120, 120. Okay. The next one I am building is the mobile phone resting position, which is perpendicular. You will see that automatically it will draw a perpendicular sign to be 20 mm. So do you see this T sign appeared? So this is now being shown as a perpendicular. So I want to determine on the height. I want to determine on the height. So I'm using the dimension function. I select the tip of the model and I select the base of the model. I just simply move out the cursor to the side and say this is to be 150. 150. Okay. So right now you see the model is free to move. This is free to move. So if they say I don't want this, I want to have a fixed angle. If they say I want to have a fixed angle today, what do I need to do? Same thing, use the dimension function, select the first geometry and select the second geometry at the horizontal geometry, and you'll be actually seeing the angle dimension. So when I see this angle dimension, I'm going to say this is to be 70 mm. 70, so that this, no matter what I move, it will be always at the 70 degree. So if they say you need to change it to 60 degree, you just change accordingly. You will be actually seeing the model will change automatically. So right now, what's next is you notice that the direction here is to be wrong. So I just redraw again. I delete it. If they say there are some geometry which is wrong, you just simply select the geometry and press the delete functions. You just delete that function. Next, what we are going to do is to create back these segments here, 20 mm. So this is the first part that I've done. I already did do this part. Okay, so before we actually move on, I want to determine on the angle. I want to determine on the angle. So I can just simply select onto the arc and say this radius is to be 125. I want to have a whole number instead of making it moving around. So the next item, you can do a ground lock, but in this case, I don't want to lock it first because I want to look at the model outcome in the later while. So I temporarily just leave this model free to move. I just leave it free to move. In the later while, we will fix this if they say there's a need to. If not, I am going to just leave this as it is. I'm just leave it as it is. So we are going to move on to a little bit of the modifications. We are going to move it to a little bit of modifications. And I want to make the sharp edges round. So instead, I'm going to select the first corner and select the second corner. The radius, I am going to set it to be 5 mm here. I'm going to set it to 5 mm. Okay, let's say to make it more significant, I am probably using 10 mm instead. Okay, so 10 mm radius. Same thing one more time. I am going to do the same thing for the below. The baseline and the arc line, the radius is to be 10 mm as well. So you will be actually seeing that the model is now being generated out as it is. But you will notice that there is a one warning sign because our constraints already been pre-applied earlier on of this 150. Because once I already have some constraints, that the point already went missing. But it's all right. I'm just leave it as it is right now. So before we actually move on, I am going to share with you. This is how it looked like at the side profile. This is at the side view. So at the side view, what we are going to do, we are going to perform extrusions, right? We are going to perform extrude. But when I select the blue extrude, I couldn't select the single line geometry. Why? It is because the extrude function only can extrude in the depth to a closed sketch profile. It must to be in a closed sketch profile. So this is not a closed sketch profile. This is an open sketch profile. What do I need to do is I need to go back to do some modifications before we can actually move on to the 3D extrusion. So we just go back to the sketch. I can double click or I can right click at the sketch. So what I'm going to do is I am going to create offset value. I'm going to create offset value of this profile. So I'm going to select onto the geometry and I am saying the offset value is to be 5 mm, for example, here. So you'll be actually seeing that it's an offset value will be appear in the geometry. It offset whatever geometry that you draw in the first place, and we are going to create the offset value of 5 mm. So if you let's say you guys couldn't see it, let me just move this 5 mm out a little bit so that you can actually see this is a 5 mm offset value. So in the extrusions, right, it says we need to do a close gap. We need to do a close-up gap. So I just do a simple close-up gap to the edges. 1, 2. So before we do a close-up gap, you notice that the screen, it is not being is shown in a transparent white color. But once I do a close-up gap, what happened? You see the screen right now is turned into the light blue indications to show me that this is the closed loop. It's a closed loop. When I select the extrusions, what do I need to do? I do a finish sketch and I'm going to perform the extrude functions. So when I perform the extrude function, sometimes if you do not see the dialog box, probably it's been hidden. So I can open up the plus icons to call out the dialog box. If they say you are preferred to work on the screen, you can just minimize the dialog box and you can straight away work on to the interface directly. So I can move out the panel. So you can simply move out the panels to extend outwards. But I would like to share a little bit information over here. It's when I call the extrusions. If they say I want it to be symmetrical, I want the designs to be in the mirror conditions. I want to make it symmetry. So instead of one side, I can also say two side symmetry, two side of the distance. Or I also can say it must be asymmetric. When I say symmetry means the left-hand side is going to be the same distance as my right-hand side. But geometry, it's at the center. Do you see this geometry? It still remains as the center as it is. So I'm going to say each side to be 40 mm. Each side to be 40 mm. You will be actually seeing the distance in the overall is to be 8080 mm. I am going to say OK. So this is the first part which you created, the first extrusions. So what do we need to do? We are going to do the second part, which is the holder here below. This is the holder below. I want to make sure I have some space for the charging. I have some space for the charging. So we are going to create a secondary sketch onto the profile. Where do we going to create? We are going to sketch at this highlighted blue interface over here. we are going to create a second sketch over here. I am going to say create sketch. So I'm going to draw out a rectangular shape. I'm going to draw a rectangular shape, says in the center here to the center to the second point over here. I will have two indications appear. Then I put in a dimension. I want to put in dimensions on the left hand side, the geometry, and the inside geometry. This is to be 20. One more time, dimensions, the inside geometry to the outside geometry is to be 20. So if they say in case I want to make a changes, I need to select the first one and change it to 30 and select the second one to be 30. So sometimes this is too troublesome. I also can do indications that it must be equal constraints. I can say the distance left hand side is to be equals to my second geometry here. So of course, I also can do indications of parameter editing. What is the parameter editing here? It is when I mouse over to this icon, do you notice that there is a D13, which is equals to 20 mm, and this is a D14. So there are some of the geometry which is predefined. Like for example, I want it to be say this dimension 14 is to be same as the dimension 13. So instead of a value, I can input in the condition. It must be equals to D13. So you will see this fx sign appear. So you will see this fx, which means if this is today, I am going to change one side to be 15. You will notice that the function will automatically change the second dimensions here. So this is the parameter editing functions that you can do. So once I have done this part, what do I need to do next is I am going to perform the cutting. I want to cut away this profile. In order for you to do the cutting, it is the same function as the extrude functions. It is the same function as the extrude functions. So I'm going to select the extrude functions and I am going to select this particular profile. If they said I want it to be a join, so I want it to add in material, it will become a join operations. So if they say I wanted this to be a cut operations, I just simply move over. You will see that it will show it in the red. When you see it in the red, you will be actually seeing the operation is now being a cut function. It is now a cut functions. So I don't want these guys to be cut all the way. I just want it to be cut about 5 mm. I can just simply say cut 5 mm and say OK. So you will be actually seeing the model is now being cut. The model is now being cut. Okay, next, what we are going to do is we are going to look at the design again. We are going to look at the design again. Okay, it's here. So behind that is the hole. I need to create a hole for my cabling, to go through. So I am going to create a hole at the back profile. But right now, I couldn't create a hole at the back profile. It is because I cannot create a sketch at the round curved surfaces. I only can create the sketch at the flat surfaces. You notice that I am actually highlighted right now. This is the flat surfaces. But I couldn't sketch at the round surfaces. I could not sketch at the round surfaces. You see, when I mouse over to the round surfaces, I couldn't select it. But I can select all these flat surfaces. So what I'm going to do is I am going to create it at the side profile. So before we actually create the side profile over here, I am going to share with you, we want to create a constraint plane, a construction plane. So what is a construction plane? The construction planes can be I want to create offset plane. So I am going to say I want to offset from the original plane. You see I'm highlighted this plane. I want to offset to the back. So I'm going to select this particular plane and I just simply move the planes to the back. So how far? I just move it aside to approximate 110, 110. Oh, sorry, 110. 110 over here. So right now I have the offset plane from the origin towards to 110. I have this offset plane. When I have this offset plane, I can create a sketch at the back profile. So I am going to create a circle at the center. So this is the back model. I am going to create a circle at the center. So estimations, I am going to place at the center. And I am saying this diameter to be 5050. I draw a diameter that is 50 mm. And you will notice that once I'm done, you will have that sketch. But the sketch is not at the round surfaces. If you realize it, I just zoom in a little bit to show it to you. It is not aligned together. It's a separate piece. So what do I need to do? We are going to perform extrude cut function as well. So same thing, I just want it to be extrude cut. So if they say I want to have a full cutting, I can cut all the way through if I need to. But for this case, I don't want it to be cut all the way. I just want it to be cut at the half. So I probably say cut 10 mm. Oops, 10 mm, you will notice that there are some of the residue which is not fully cut. You notice over here, there is an additional profile that is not cut. So what you need to do is you need to fix it a little bit. So we just go to the timeline, go to the last function, edit feature, and I just add in a little bit value. And you will be able to actually see now the model is fully cut. Okay, so we just quickly move on to some of the functions. I want to make the sharp edges wrong because I don't want to have any sharp edges. So I am going to use the fillet functions. I want to say the sharp edges 1, 2, 3, 4 to be 3 mm. I just make the sharp edges wrong. So same thing for the base fillet. I am selecting at the sharp edges 1, 2, and this case I'm going to put 10 mm for a bigger radius. Okay, so same thing over here. Okay, so if they say I don't want these sharp edges, same thing. I am going to use the fillet function as well. 3 mm. So I make the sharp, eliminate all the sharp edges. So lastly, I just do a little bit on the radius fillet at the corner to be 1 mm to make all the sharp edges round. Same thing over here, and the external 1 mm. Oh, before that, over here I need to fix this guy first. One mm. Fillet the corner and this guy 1 mm. Okay, so I already eliminate all the sharp edges. So what do we need to do? So because you notice that in the model, I do have a mobile phone. So instead of me to model in the mobile phone, you can actually go onto the internet. You can go onto the internet to download the existing CAD files. And in order for you to do the import, so what you can do is you will be actually seeing in your projects. Like for example, if they say today I am at the phone stand exercise, you can actually upload in the CAD file from external parties. Like for example, you can select the files. Okay, you can just simply drag and drop the projects into the files. So you can import in different type of the files, alias file, AutoCAD, Fusion, Inventor file, CATIA file, DXF, FBX, IGES, NX, OBJ, ProE, Rhino file, SolidWorks file. So you can import in a different type of the file format in order for you to work on the model. So which I already did import it in. I already did import in the third party mobile phone. So this is the third party mobile phone. How am I going to put this into the same projects? How am I going to put this into the same projects? Give me a second. Let me just wait for it to load. So I already done the loading in. I done the loading in. Okay, so what do I need to do? It's I need to transfer this. I need to transfer this model into my mobile phone stand, right? Because this is the external party model. So if this I want to import it in, what do I need to do? It's I just before I move on, I just save this file in case the machine hang. So this is the mobile phone stand demo. Save this file first. So in order for me to insert in the external file, or if they say you want to insert in another parts of the model, so what do I need to do? I just look at the toolbar, look at the insert function. Look at the insert functions. I will see this insert derive. Do you see this insert derive? When I choose the insert derive, you will be actually seeing the import file. So I am going to import in the iPhone 7 Plus. Of course, yeah, but I already have iPhone 12 already in the market. I'm just showing you as for the exercise. Okay, for the exercise. So I want to select the derive of the model. So instead of selecting the individual faces, I am going to select in the browser directly. I'm going to select this whole model. You will actually see it's now been selected. Okay, let me just show you one more time. Instead of selecting the individual faces, you see actually it's very troublesome. I need to click, and sometimes you may miss out any of the components. So for the faster way, we just go to the particular parts itself and do a full selection and say OK. Okay, so once you place it in, you will be actually seeing the model will be now being joined in together with the parts over here. You will be actually seeing the parts is over here. So before we actually move on to the next part is I need to move the model away. So you will be actually seeing the move commands. And I am going to say the move the components. Yeah, this is a separate components. So I say at the center here, and I want it to be rotated 90 degrees. So you can use this navigation wheel to help you to rotate 180 degree, and I want this to be rotate flat as well to the 90 degree minus 90. Okay, so in order for me to place it nicely, so I can just simply rotate a corner. Okay, and I just want to move it up and just move it up to the position that I want. And lastly, I just come back to the center. I just make sure that this guy is in the center. So you will be actually finding out, okay, cool, this the Fusion 360, the move command is so interactive and very simple and easy to use. You can just simply use this navigation guide to help you toggle between the model. So done. The mobile phone is nicely sit onto the stand itself. Okay, so next what we are going to go through with you guys is we are going to go through the rendering. We are going to prepare for the rendering. Okay, so we are going to prepare for the rendering. Okay, so we are going to prepare for the visual impression rendering. So before we actually move on to the next part, I am going to save this file one more time. Just that mobile phone inserted. And we are going to change from the design tab. We are going to change from the design tab into the render tab. We are going to change from the design tab into the render tab. So when I change it over to the render tab, you will be actually seeing that the interface is now changed to a grayscale. So you can change it's the same thing, very simple. We always start from the left-hand side towards to the right-hand side. So same thing, I'm going to select on the appearance because I need to have some material color texture is being applied. So appearance, I am calling out the appearance library. So in the appearance library, you will be actually seeing there is a full list of the different type of the material. So from fabric, from glass, leather cloth, liquid metal, paint, plastic, wood, you can have a different type of the material texture. So how do you apply the material texture? You can just simply click and drag. You just simply click and drag. The material texture will be appear automatically for you. Like for example, I want to change this to be walnut. I just simply click and drag. The material is now changed automatically for you. So if they say I want to have some shining characteristic, it's I want to have metal. I want to have a metal, and probably I want to have a gold. I want to use the gold color, polished. Yep, and just simply click and drag. You'll be actually seeing the model is now being applied. You'll be actually seeing the material is now being applied. So when you rotate, you're actually seeing the shadow reflections, but this is not the final output. This is not the render output yet. It's just still a viewing mode yet. This is just still a viewing mode. So what do we need to do? It's we need to prepare for the background. So then we just move on to the second item, which you will see the scene setting. You will see the scene setting. So this is the background which you can change. Like for example, if this I want to change for some reddish background, I can apply the different type of the color. If this I want it to be in the light blue, so you can apply a solid background. But sometimes this is not the best output because you are just rendering at the background color. But if they say I want to make it more realistic, I want to have a background scenes. So what I can do is you will be actually seeing in the setting, I will have this background solid color, and I can change the solid color into the environment. You change this background into the environment. So when you see it in the background environment, which background environment I am in, I'm not so sure. I just try to zoom out and see it. So, oh, it seems it's like it's a studio background. So how do I know this is a studio background? So you can move on to the environment library tab. You just move on to the environment library tab. You can change the background. Like for example, I want this to be at the background of the plaza. If they say today I am model of a huge item, which is like, for example, it's a car, automobile. So I want to use a bigger background images. So when I choose a bigger background images, I will be actually seeing right now the plaza is now being pushed into the background. Excuse me. So you will also notice that for the characteristic of the background, it will carry the background images in. If they say today I am choosing a mirror chrome, you probably will see the reflections of the background. Okay, so in this case, I just put it in like this and put it as a proportional size. But of course, this is a plaza. So this is already in proportion because the background is too huge. So you have to find one, like for example, I am using a photo booth because this is a small item. I just leave it as a photo booth as it is. Okay, so move on to the next item is the decal because this is a mobile phone. I want to make the product as the real as it is. Sometimes I want to, if they say today we are doing for a corporate gift and the corporate want us to input the company logo, the stickers, the decal, so we can use the decal functions. So when you use the decal, you can just simply download from the internet or you can insert from the computer. I already packed the file into the software. So I am going to select it directly and say it's to be at the center here. So I am going to rotate this guy 90 degree, and just probably make it center as big as possible. Just an estimation. Okay, oops, it's not at the center. I just call on the decal and I move the decal to fit it in. So sometimes when you put it in the decal, right, you also notice that the images is not reverse. So you also can do a reverse flip of the view if you need to. So once you revert it, and what we are going to do next is we are going to prepare for the rendering. We're going to prepare for the rendering. The next part is you can see you will have the in-canvas render. And in-canvas render and the teapot render, there are two different types of render. In-canvas render, it rendered immediately on the spot. So you'll be actually seeing a timeline, which at the bottom right-hand side, it probably will tell you the procedure. How long does it take to reach the excellent to the final stage of the output? So the disadvantage of the advantage part is that you can see the render automatically. But if let's say you accidentally rotate or move, what happens is it will restart the calculating again. So sometimes I am more preferred to use the teapot render. Sometimes we'll use the teapot render instead of the in-canvas render. Let me just stop this first. Because the in-canvas render, it would stress your machine. Like for example, if this is you are not working on a powerful laptop or powerful workstation. If you are just working on a very light, the system spec is not that high, then most of the time I will recommend the users to go for a cloud render. When you do the cloud render, it basically send the information up to the server for the rendering. So I'm going to select the cloud render setting over here. You can render out based on the different type of the outputs, like web publish on the web or mobile or on the print. You can base on the different type of the output, or if this you want to have a specific size, a pixel output. And you can choose the render quality. I am choosing a final. Okay, so the 1 credits required. Okay, when I just done, I just simply perform render. So it will take a little while for the render to take place. So what you are actually seeing, this is the window screens, which is the output in the later while. Let me just turn on the render gallery. The render gallery is right below, right at the below. You can turn on the render gallery. When you turn on the render gallery, you will be actually seeing it is now in the queue. It is now in the queue, and we'll just wait for a while, and you will be actually seeing the file being rendered out. Okay, so it will start take place. So instead of waiting here, I just do a little bit of a few shots. I want to focus, like, because sometimes you want to show the customer on how does the view look at. So sometimes I also do a zoom in. I just select a few render. And I also want to render a model without the phone. So I just remove the mobile phone and I do a render. So you can prepare a few render shots. Okay, then I just pick one more. So I just try to position it as a little bit bigger. Okay, I just render it one last shot. So you can prepare a few set, or instead of waiting down there, you can just make it into the queue. Okay, so let's see. The first view already have the outcome. So let's look at it. Okay, this is the first render output that you have. Okay, okay, it seems the decal is not rendered out. The decal is not rendered out. How do we fix this? So we just turn on the mobile phone first. We just turn on the mobile phone and we go back to the design tab. Go back to the design tab and I need you to go to the surfaces. If this is today you are using a decal and you want to render the decal, okay, what we need to do is we need to go to the surface tab, design tab, change it to the surface. And I am going to ask you to go to the modify reverse normal. I'm going to say this image is going to reverse to the normal stage first. When I select a reverse normal, you will see the image will go a little bit haywire. So same thing, we just edit the decal, make sure we rotate it back nicely. And flip it back. Okay, and I just do one more shot of the rendering of this guy. And probably just one more. I do a close-up. Oops. Let's see here. I want to look at the item here. Okay, so right now we have a few image in the queue, so we can review the drawings. So if they say you want to have because right now what you are actually building is all rendered into your projects file. So if they say you want this particular images to be downloaded, if they say you want these images to be downloaded, so you can go to the download function. You can go to the download function. You can download it as a JPEG or different type of the output that you need to. And like for example, this first one, because the decal is not in, I don't want this image anymore. I can just straight away select the delete function. I delete this guy, so I don't want it to be in my rendering gallery. So there are some of the shots which already render output already. So yep, if they say you are happy with the render output, then you can download them. You also can do a public sharing, like for example, you want to share this to a link, you can share the image to a third party, to anyone else. Okay, so this is the rendering. Okay, are we good with the rendering? So rendering, very simple, is basically applying the material color texture to change the background settings. If let's say you need to decal, edit the decal, and you can change the context, the texture map control to change the direction of the, let's say if a wood grain, if you need to change. This is where you go to the advanced workshop. We will talk about this, okay? So the next part, what we are going to do is we are going to prepare you guys for the engineering drawings. So we need to prepare the engineering documentations. How can we prepare it into the engineering documentations? Is we can simply go to the render tab. We are moving on through the drawing. Okay, we are going to move on to the drawing from the design. We are going to move on the drawings from the design. So I'm going to change. Oh, I see my old friends, Bowie. Okay, so now we are going to move on to the engineering drawing documentations. So over here, you will be actually seeing the contents on the standards that we are actually using. So in order for us to move on to in Asia, we are using ISO standards, and the units probably you are using in millimeters. But sometimes you do have projects that are in inches. You can change the units to your desired units dimensions. Okay, so in the next part, what is you can do is on the paper size, you can change on the paper size. If they say today you are working on a A4 size paper, you can change this to the A4 size paper. And for example, I'm good with the A3 size of the drawing documentations. We will just simply select A3 drawing documentations and say OK. Okay, so there are some of the notification measures, T-spline and the surface body will not be included. Yep, I am okay with it because we just need the mobile phone stand. Because I don't need that mobile phone, the mobile phone is not being modeled by us. So what we need to do is we will remove the mobile phone. We'll remove the mobile phone in the later work. Okay, so we wait for the software to show us the drawing documentation. Yep. Okay, so you'll be actually seeing the orientation of the view right now. So you'll be actually seeing the interface whole totally change. Same thing, you need not to worry. Again, we will always start from the left-hand side all the way to the right-hand side. So you will be actually seeing the drawing documentations on the view. So you can change the view, like for example, this is the side view that I actually seeing. If they say I want to change the orientation, how am I going to change the orientations? So you can go to the orientations and change to the left. Like for example, if they say I am going to change it to the left view, okay, so this is actually back, right, then which means it's the left view. Okay, so if they say I want this to be the front view, you can change the orientation. You also can change the style to be visible, or if they say you want to have to indicate the background, the hidden line, you can actually simply select the hidden line edges. Or if they say you are printing on the color, if they say you want to plot color, or to plot color with the hidden edges. You also can define on the scale, like for example, it's been automatically assigned 1:2. So I'm good with this scale. So I'm going to say 1:2 and say, click the first item and say OK. And say OK. So you will be actually seeing the first drawing will be now populate in for me. So what do we need to do for the engineering drawings? I want to create some projected view. In order for me to create some of the projected view, what do we need to do? We just move on to the second item, which is the projected view, And I am going to select from the parent drawing, and I can project it to the side view. I also can project it to the top view, the bottom view, if I need to. So you can project out 8 different angles, the isometric view. So this is the projection you can do. So you can project out 8 different view angles if you need to. But for this case, I don't need that much. I'll just need 3 of the view. So I just make sure I delete away all this unwanted view. Okay, so I just move this at the side. And I want to modify this to be colored. because I want to indications as the color. So what do we need to do is before we actually put in the dimensions, sometimes we need to indicate the text, or we want to draw geometry lines. So probably I need to do is I will do a create sketch onto the interface. And I want to draw out the geometry, the separating line. If this, I want to draw the separation line. Okay, and one more. Okay, I also can input in the text. When I want to input in the text, I probably say this is the front view. This is the front. And I have a side view, which is the end view. And I probably have one more. This is the plane. And probably I want to have some of the text indication at the side. With this, I want this to be indicated as an isometric projection view. And I want it to be centerline. Justifications, I want it to be centerline. And I want this text to be bigger if I need to. So you can create and change all this indication if you need to. Okay, so the next part, what we need to do is we need to identify the dimensions. In order for us to identify the dimensions, what you can do is of course you can create a section view. If let's say today your project you want to slash into half or into certain section, you can look at the section view. So this is what you will do in the advanced workshop. Then you will talk about the different functions. So for the simple, for the easy requirements, what we are going to do is we are going to call out the dimensions. I want to know what is the overall height. Like for example, I'm just focused at the front view here. So I want to know what is the height, overall height. So I can just simply select onto the height. And I want to know what is the length over here. So you basically simply just select onto the geometry that you need. Oops, I select wrongly. Okay, so I also can indicate at the side view on the angle if I need to. Like for example, I want to know the angle between these two. Okay, and probably I also want to indicate what is the thickness. I want to indicate what is the thickness. Okay, and probably I want to look at the corner radius. Okay, this is the radius. Some of the indications, I need to input it in. Okay, so in order for me to do the control of the dialog box, if they say I need to indicate the dialog box, so what I need to do is if they say I want to have a changes of the title block. If you need to change the title block information, what you need to do is you can just simply double click and you can go into the file and change this to be chain, and you can rename it if you need to. And you also can have a technical reference and the departments, the creations, and approved by your senior engineers. And if this is referring to a DWG drawings, you can create different type of informations. Okay, if they say I am done with this part here, what am I going to do is I also need to indicate on the material. So I want to create information. I want to create, let me just zoom on. Okay, so I want to indicate on the table. So like for example, I want to create a view of material. So when I select the material, I probably just simply put on the top and I say this is the material is being selected, and I want to indicate the balloon to indicate where are the parts. Okay, so in order for me to change the material texture, or if they say you want to edit the material list, what you can do is the same thing. You just simply double click and you can add in, if they say you want to show what is the mass, you can add in the mass if you need to. But this model is very small, so it does not generate any much informations. And you also can create a blank table. If they say today you want to create your own inputs, so you can draw an empty table. You can create an empty table. So if they say I am done with all these informations, if they say I'm done with all this data, so I need to output it as a PDF or a DWG file. So you can save the output to PDF. You can save the output to PDF and to create it. So I'm saving this guy out and say this is a phone stand drawing. So once I save this onto on the desktop, then you can actually see it as an output. Okay, so remember in the earlier on we talked about the collaboration. Like for example, if this is today I want to invite you guys into my collaboration team. So in the data panel, you will see these people. So what you need to do is you just invite over. Like for example, I am inviting my personal email address and say invite. So immediately once I select the send invite, the persons will be automatically added into the projects team. And if they say the person is no longer in the project, or he or she is not actively in the project team, you can actually remove the persons. You can actually remove the persons from the team, and the persons will not be able to see your data list in the listing over here. Okay, so that's all for what we are actually supposed to cover. That's all for what we are actually supposed to cover. Before we actually go to the final Q&A sessions, do you have any questions that you want to ask me before we actually let me just share the screen. You can type in the chat box, or you can private text me if this you have any questions regarding on today's workshop. We're open for discussion.
Okay, guys, if you have questions, you may drop it in our comment section. Okay, so most of you are asking no how to claim or how to gain a certificate, no. So inviting all to join Design Challenge 2020 with Autodesk Fusion 360. Okay, so I'll be posting the link in the comment section. Okay, so for you to gain a certificate, you need to submit your design. Okay, so all details here. Okay, so please check the link posted in the comment section. Okay, so design a hand phone stand with Autodesk Fusion 360. Okay, so terms and condition, student of age 16 and above. So postgraduate students are not eligible. Okay, so maximum of 3 entries per students. Okay, so each entry must have a write-up of not more than 100 words on the design, a rendering, animation, and a Fusion 360 file. Okay, so entry larger than 5 MB, please upload and send the link only. Okay, so you may email your entry to designchallenge@nwholdings.com. So it may be different, the details in your screen and in mind. Okay. So closing date is on 31st of January 2021. Okay, so prices, first price is USD 750, a second price is 500 USD, third price is 250, and the five merit price of um $100. Okay, so inviting everyone to please join this competition, and also you need to have of course the 50% for modeling, and we also have a 25% for um originality and creativity, no? So you can't submit the output being demo or being um made by searching, no? So you need to make your own. All right, and please do join cadcommunity.asia, okay, to see the details. And yeah, just I hope you all register for today's session. And once more, I am inviting you to join CAD Community Asia in LinkedIn and in Facebook as well. Okay, so inviting you to like and join CAD Community Asia to keep you updated for our future training. Okay, so if we don't have any questions, okay. And we would like to thank Sir Cheng, no, for conducting the session, today's session. Thank you.
No problem. Thank you. Thank you for hosting us. So if you guys have no questions, I will pass the mic back to the host.
Okay, thank you, Cheng, and have a happy lunch.
Yeah.
Okay, bye. Okay, ayan. And our video is available for replay. Our video is available for replay. Okay, you can view this video in Autodesk Community Philippines YouTube channel, CAD Community Asia Facebook page and group. Okay, we'll be posting the link also in LinkedIn. Okay. Ayan, if you don't have questions, we can like end now. Ayan. Thank you po sa workshop. Very knowledgeable po si Sir. Okay. And for certificates update, last AutoCAD training will be having another live stream or awarding of certificates on Saturday. Okay, on Saturday, that's January 23. So stay tuned for updates. Okay, paano po okay, so you can still do or submit an output, Sir Joseph, for you to get or gain a certificate of a certificate, no, it's hindi ka nga lang makaka-join sa ating competition. Okay? So we are hoping all who attended today will be able to join or enter, submit your output. Okay? And thank you everyone for joining us today. I know it's like it's not our typical time, okay, but still you made it. Okay, thank you everyone. And if you have questions, you can message us in Meetup, Autodesk Community Philippines in Meetup. Okay, thanks everyone, and have a wonderful lunch. Once more, see you all this Saturday, January 23 for awarding of certificates. Okay, so that's for AutoCAD 3D and Quick Start to AutoCAD. Bye, everyone.